Zoe here. Today I'm super excited to talk to you because I'm going to be talking to you all about my VIPASSANA journey. So if you guys didn't catch the last video, I announced that I was going into somewhat isolation for about 10 days in the desert to do some solid meditating, and it was about 11 hours per day I was doing. So I want to tell you all about that experience because it was really amazing and really transformative to me. So let's get started. Alright guys, so to start this video off, I just want to read you the little definition of VIPASSANA from my booklet because I think that will help some of you guys into understanding a little bit about what VIPASSANA meditation is. I'm going to talk about my personal experience and not give anything away for any of you out there who are considering the experience, because I think it should be something you kind of go in blind like I did, not knowing what I was getting myself into, but knowing that it was going to be a good transformative experience. So that's what I want for all of you out there, but I'm going to talk about the positive benefits and kind of what the day-to-day schedule was like for us. So from my little booklet here, the technique of VIPASSANA meditation is simple, a practical way to achieve real peace of mind and lead a happy, useful life. VIPASSANA means to see things as they really are. It is the logical process of mental refinement through self-observation. So through the 10 days, we were placed into noble silence, which means that we weren't allowed to speak to each other or touch each other or make eye contact with each other. There was just no communication to happen. And this allowed us to really deepen our self-observation while we were meditating. So when I said we were meditating about 10 hours a day, that's the truth. There was a gong that was struck each morning around 4 a.m. so that's when we would get up, and we were to meditate from 4:30 to 6:30, and at 6:30 we were served breakfast, which was really good. All of the food there was amazing, like oatmeal. It was all vegan or vegetarian, and it was truly delicious. They had like vegan lasagna, vegan brownies made with zucchini. So we were eating very, very well there, but we were only eating 2 meals per day. So breakfast was at 6:30, and then lunch was at 11, and at 5 p.m. we got a break where we were allowed some fruit and some tea. So that was a little bit of an adjustment because, like I mentioned, this is a big schedule of meditating, so there's a lot of thinking going on. So of course later in the day I was thinking about food. But back to the schedule. So 4:30 to 6:30 meditate. Breakfast was at 6:30 until 7, and then from 7 to 8 we had a break. Then from 8 until 11 we were meditating. Lunch we had about 2 hours because there was an opportunity to speak with the teacher for a rest break, to eat, and just to rejuvenate ourselves a little bit. And then from 1 p.m. until 5 we were meditating, and then we were back again after a break at 6 p.m. to meditate and study the discourse until 9 p.m. and then at 10 p.m. was lights out. So a very structured day, like I said, a lot of intense meditations. So when I went into this, I assumed that I was going to have some type of anxiety or panic attack. I had a dream and I saw myself having some type of breakdown in the meditation process, but I was pleasantly surprised that that didn't happen to me. So that did happen to other people. The process is pretty intense because you're sitting with yourself for 10 days in silence. So you really get to know your mind. You really get to know the thoughts that are going on in your mind and how you truly feel about yourself. And what I found through the process was that I really love myself. Like, I had no problem sitting with myself for 10 days. I had no problem meditating, practicing VIPASSANA. It was truly such a wonderful, rejuvenating, and refreshing experience for me, especially because I live every day in front of screens, right? Like, I work on the computer, I work on YouTube, I have a cell phone, and I've been attached to electronics for so long, and I don't think I've gone longer than a day without them or without answering an email of some kind. So it was truly a very blessing experience to sit with myself for this long. The technique itself is very interesting. I don't feel like I felt bored. I was very interested in the whole journey itself. I was waiting though for this kind of breakdown period, and I would say that my most difficult day was day 6, which is apparently a big day for a lot of students and a big day for a lot of people walking away. So when they do the program, apparently day 2 and day 6 are the hardest, and it's because you're given new instruction to your technique and it can feel like a lot, and the clutter that's going on in your mind can have you feeling a little bit frustrated. But for me, what was going on is that I have scoliosis in my back, which means that I have a curve to my spine. So for the first 6 days, sitting, you know, it was a little bit uncomfy. I was adjusting myself here and there, but there was no shooting pains, which I was kind of very surprised about, and I didn't have any headaches. So one thing with scoliosis is that if I'm walking around in uncomfortable shoes all day, or like I'm take a flight, a lot of the times I get a really big headache that sometimes goes on for the next day. But this wasn't the case for me, so I was very pleasantly surprised with the whole thing. But on day 6 in the evening, because there was 3 times that we were sitting for 3 hours per day where you literally weren't allowed to move. So I found that in one of these hours when I was instructed to sit, and I believe it was the afternoon sitting for 1 hour without moving, that I had this like throbbing pain in my back, like all over my back, like in just different areas. It was so painful, and it was quite unbearable for me. So even though we weren't allowed to move, I was constantly adjusting myself for this hour. It was really traumatic, I guess I would say, for me. Like, it was very horrible because I was just feeling so frustrated, and I started to think in my mind, you know, it's gonna be a long ways out until I get to see a chiropractor. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna have to leave? This is so intense. Why don't they have chiropractors here for us? Like, I was getting pretty concerned about myself, but I wasn't having any thoughts of like self-doubt or negativity towards myself. And then I decided to breathe through my pain and use the technique to work through my pain, and that ended up being very successful for me because I got rid of all the pain just sitting there working through it myself. Like, each individual spot on my back, I was focusing, I was breathing through it, and I was just really positive that I was gonna have to overcome this myself if I wanted to stay and to complete the course. So I worked through that, and like I said, all my pain went away. And I was so surprised because, like I said, scoliosis is something I've dealt with like almost my whole life, and it can be very painful at times. And I had the ability to work through it myself. And through those whole 10 days, like I said, like day 6 was my hardest day, and after that I was just beaming because I felt like I figured it out. I figured the technique out, and I figured out how to essentially heal myself through meditation in some way, like breathing through it, trusting myself, working through my, you know, my fears and my own anxieties in regards to pain. And yeah, I was just really proud of myself about that. And in regards to what was going on in my mind, like I said, everything going on in my mind was very positive. And I think this whole experience for me was to realize how whole I actually am. Because as you guys know, I'm always working on myself, and I've done a lot of work on myself the past few years, especially just all of you who have watched my journey know that I'm always reading books, or, you know, going away to retreats, or meditating, or doing whatever I can to better myself as a person. And I feel like this was such an integral part of my journey because I liked being with myself for 10 days. I liked the mind that I was thinking with, but like, oh, the majority of my thoughts, like I'd say 90-something% of everything that crossed my mind while I was in VIPASSANA was very positive for me. Very positive. I was just so grateful for everything that I've done in the past few years, and just grateful for how my life has gone this far, and I was very excited about the future. And in the present time, just being there at VIPASSANA, I was very proud of myself for putting myself into a situation like this, putting myself through a personal challenge, and being excited about it, and being excited about the transformations that were to come. So really, it was a very fulfilling 10 days. Like, I feel very happy that I got to know myself even better, and sit with myself for that long, and just be very content with the person that I am. And like I told you guys before I left, I've never been happier in my life. Like, I've truly never been happier. But if you were to send me into this course a year ago and have me sit with myself for 10 days, I can definitely say I would have had probably that nervous breakdown, probably that anxiety attack. I know that right now is the perfect time for me to go, and I got the message that I needed to know, is that I'm going to be just fine. I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to do amazing things because I have such a trust and a self-love that I don't feel like anyone could interrupt or break. And it's truly such an incredible feeling, and I've never felt that way before. So it was truly amazing for me. And those of you who've watched me for a long time, you know my journey is like, you know, my past hasn't always been bright. Like, I don't have a relationship with my mother. That's quite traumatic. I've shared that with you guys. And I you know, I was in an abusive relationship and I got myself out of it, and since then I've been on my own for like 4 years figuring out how to be my best self so that I can in turn attract that type of person in my life. And I have in those 4 years transformed so much and attracted so many wonderful loving friendships into my life, so I just have a very big trust in the future and what's to come, you know, in all areas, whether it be work, relationships, friendships. I just am very proud and very fulfilled. So it was an incredible journey for me, and I would definitely recommend it to all of you guys. That VIPASSANA itself, the 10-day course, is by donation. So when you're finished the course, you can donate money, you can donate time, as in like you'll volunteer for 10 days and cook or serve or help people out or clean, and you can also donate like online monthly afterwards. Whatever you feel the experience was worth for you, then you can donate. The whole program is run by volunteers and it's truly amazing. They have facilities all over the world. I went to the one in Southern California, which is in Joshua Tree, and there's also one in Northern California, and they're all over. There's one outside of Toronto, there's one in Merritt, BC, so they're all over. And yeah, it was just such a loving space that I know that I actually would love to volunteer, hopefully later this year, and I think I would love to enter into another course next year. So yeah, I mean, I asked you guys to ask me some questions on Instagram, so I hope that I answered the majority of them. You had asked if my predictions came true, and they didn't. I mean, overall, it was a very transformative, positive experience, which I was expecting to come out of it like very, very positive and beaming, and that's how I feel. And it was incredible to be away from the electronics. It was very rejuvenating, and yeah, so that's my story. And I definitely think if you guys are interested in VIPASSANA, I think it's something that everyone would benefit from. You just have to go in with an open mind and be excited to come out a transformed person. So that's my experience, and I'm very happy to share it with you guys. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd be open to checking out VIPASSANA. I'll leave the website down below, just letting you know it's a little bit out of date, I would say, but there's still like all the cities or locations listed where you can try it out. That's my journey, and I'll see you guys again very soon.